All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Bob Brumm, who is the encouragement engineer. Bob. Bob, how you doing?
Great, great. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming on the show. And we like to jump right in. So if you could start with just telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Oh man, I always love this question. What I like to do for fun. I don't have fun. No. Um, yeah, as a father of three, I've always been busy. My kids are now grown, so my wife and I are technically pseudo empty nesters. But yeah, we like to just enjoy, some quiet time every once in a while. We do like to travel when we can. I like enjoying anything. I'll try to enjoy anything I do, just because that's the type of person I am. I've learned from a long time that it doesn't help you to be negative. It doesn't help to worry. So why not be positive about things? And I just try to enjoy everything I do.
Yeah, there we go. It fits the brand of encouragement engineer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, when did you make that decision about just enjoying kind of whatever is put in front of you? Because it's a difficult decision to make for a lot of people.
Well, yes and no. I think it goes back to a long time ago. I woke up at like 2 in the morning one time and I was working as a file clerk for an accounting firm. And this was while I was in college. And I was worried about, copying some files or this or that, or about this thing that, maybe didn't get done, or I was thinking it had to get done on time and so forth. And I looked at the clock and it was 2 in the morning. I thought to myself, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Will this matter? No, it doesn't matter. And does it affect your life? No, it doesn't. And guess what? If something happened to me and that didn't get done, somebody else would do it.
Mm,
So, why are you worrying about this stuff that doesn't make a difference? And from that point on, I really started to look at things in a way that does it really have a long-term effect? Does it really mean something to me? The idea that we have in our mindset, a positive mindset, if you will, it's a choice and it makes things a little bit better. Not, it's not saying that things are going to be rosy and perfect by any means, but it helps you get it better equipped for those times when they're not.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, awesome. Tell us about being the encouragement engineer. What does that entail?
Yeah. Well, it's as the name implies, it's encouragement. And I like to combine the two because it goes back to when I was in college. I wanted to be a constructional engineering major. And I loved the math. The physics didn't agree with me. So that's hard to do as an engineer. But I always had that mindset, the engineering mindset of trying to figure things out, try to make them work. What makes it tick? What makes it, come about? And so I went into business and accounting, and that's where I ended up getting my degree. But I also ended up in a technical field of all things. So I went from business to a technical field, and that combination of all those things kind of helped me to form this idea of the encouragement engineer, because in those, if you will, those realms, accounting, technical, engineering, people aren't real enthusiastic. You usually get some grumbling. They're not real positive about things. It's always about focus of getting something done, getting this done. But that I like to see that change. I like to see people smile. I like to see people understand the value of possibilities. And that's where the encouragement comes into play, because I think in those any realm, whether it's any of those fields or other fields, you want to show that there's possibilities. That gives people the idea of hope, and that makes them feel better. And that helps them to do whatever it might need to be done to accomplish the task you're at. Whether, it's accounting during tax season to break through and get those 15-hour days done, or whether it's in a technical field where you're doing an upgrade and you're there till midnight or later and something goes wrong and you just got to break through and keep going at it. That encouragement helps people to achieve those things and accomplish those goals that need to be done. And that's an encouragement of knowing your value, knowing the value of yourself, the value you have in your knowledge, the value you have to others. And that's important because so many times we forget the people that are doing the work are people first. And I help try to bring that to different corporate audiences and to groups that I speak to, and then I encourage.
I gotcha. So is When you say encouragement engineer, is it more of a technique here, some tricks and hacks to encourage really well, or is it more of a heart thing?
It's it's a little bit of both because I mean, positiveness and encouragement, it takes action. I could give you ideas of encouragement and show you examples, but until you do it, it really doesn't it's just words on paper, if you will. We can all read books, but then the real trick is, can we apply that book? And that's what I help people do with encouragement, is help them apply that into their life. How are they looking at things? What are they doing? I take their examples and I help shed light on their example of how they can just look at things just a little bit different, so that they can see the light, and that light coming isn't a train, but it's hope, it's opportunity, it's that little adjustment of, oh, if you just looked at this way, oh yeah, that idea of looking outside the box. Why not look a little bit different at something? You never know what it can shine, shine for you or for others. And that's the fun of it. You start to see, as I talk about it, you can tell I get a little excited about it.
Yeah.
That's what other people start to feel, is they feel that excitement. They feel that opportunity. And then it's like, oh, I can do that. When you get them to understand that they can do it, they're taking the action, and you're just watching and smiling and just letting them go. That's the key piece, is helping somebody to understand they can achieve something, or take the action necessary to do something, and they do it. That's such a great, rewarding experience to see that action.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Well, awesome, man. Tell us a bit more about your motivation in life. What really gets you up and keeps you going?
That gets me up and keeps me going. The idea that I can get up. I mean, I woke up. I wake up every day. I get up pretty early at 4:30, and the first thing I think is, thank God that I woke up, because there's people that haven't. I experienced that, losing many family members early in my life. Knowing that I have the ability to take that next day, and I, opportunity to experience today. I'm thankful for that. I pray that my kids are safe. It's that's what keeps me going, is the idea that I have abilities that and gifts that I think I'm here by our creator, that I was given, and that I need to share that with people. I need to make sure they understand that they can do great things as well. They have, such power and greatness in them, and we can all share that, and helping people understand that is, something that keeps me going.
Mm, I gotcha. Yeah. That gratitude for just being able to get up, being able to enjoy life, and then being able to share that with others goes a long way. Simple stuff,
Yeah,
but it goes a long way.
it does.
Well,
Yeah.
cool. Bob, let's go ahead and jump into your dreams and goals, man. Tell us about your vision for your speaking career, your company, and your life.
Yeah. Well, for my speaking career and my life, if you will, I want to be able to encourage. I love encouraging large audiences. The bigger the audience, the more energy I get from it. But that sharing that idea, as I mentioned before, that idea of positiveness, of being thankful in our life, being gracious in of what we have, and knowing that we have immense power, is a great thing for people to understand. Knowing that we can do great things, but our choices and our actions are what's critical. And we helping people to see that, again, see those opportunities, see that light that's coming. It's not always a train. It's an opportunity to take that step forward. It's that opportunity to go ask that person out on a date, not text them, but ask them out and talk to somebody. It's that option to, you know, choose something that might be a little bit better. It might be harder, but it's going to be better for you in the long run. Like working out. It's not always easy, but it's so beneficial for you.
Yeah.
And what's the long-term goal you're looking for? I help people to recognize that idea and what's that path they can take. Those are some of the key things I do, with my speaking and my encouragement for, corporate audiences, collegiate audiences, individuals and groups as well. It's showing that light, showing that hope, and showing people, at the same time we can have fun doing it. That's key too, because I know people like to have fun when they're doing stuff. So you keep a smile on your face, keep it, light, and still get those points across of achievement and what they can do is a great, thing that I love to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So really just encouraging large audiences to seize opportunity.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting when you talk to younger audiences, whether it's high school or college, sometimes they're looking at you like, what's this guy talking about? And when you can relate to what they may be going through, And that's part of the research of, when you go into these groups of talking to what have they done recent, what are they doing, what are some things that are going on in their lives, and you can connect with that. That makes it such a higher value for the audience because they understand that you understand them, as the old Jerry Maguire film thing, how can you help me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's that scenario is understanding the value you can bring for an audience.
Mm, I gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
any other dreams or goals that you want to add to that?
Well, some of the dreams, I mean, personal dreams I have, I always wanted to travel to Italy and Germany. That'll get there someday, I think. And Australia is another one. I mean, I've been on podcasts throughout the world, and Australia is a big one. They follow my podcast as well, and they love my accent, which you think, what? Yeah, they like the American accent, but that's a good group. I'd love to get over there just to experience that. I love that idea of traveling. There's still so many places in the US that I'd love to see too. Get up to Alaska. My son recently went up there, said it was amazing. I wouldn't mind seeing, at least being able to see it and experience that a little bit. But right now it's, just keeping up with what I can do and sharing a smile with people, staying fit, being alive. I think that's a personal goal that's always on my mind is, you know, being fit enough to carry on and enjoy life. My parents were both in their 90s when they passed away. So it's genetically, I think I got a good chance here. So I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah. And I'm sure like living the life of encouragement, of fulfillment, and really being in touch with your day to day will definitely help because it minimizes stress, and stress is a big killer.
And you bring up a great point because that's the one thing I don't do. I try not to do as much as possible is that worry. What is it good for? As the song says, absolutely nothing. But it's like a rocking chair. Do a whole lot of work, but you go nowhere. And worry does that for you. It doesn't do anything but create stress, create, hardship on your body, on your mind. You don't need that. You put it in perspective. And like I said in that story that I talked about when I woke up at 2 a.m, what value is there in that? No. I pray, I give it to God, and I move on because I know He can give me the ability to handle the situation. But at the same time, I can't worry about the future because I'm not there yet. I can't worry about the past; it's already done. What I have is now, and so what can I do now? What can we do now to make the future positive? You can plan, you respond to things, you don't react, you respond because it gives you time to think. And so I think that's, one of the things that helps myself a lot in situations. And I express that to others of, that value. So that's, one of the other things I try to do to make sure it keeps me going that way.
Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot, and I really like the point about um, there's action to be taken. So you talked earlier about how encouraging takes action, but there's also points in time where you're worrying and you cannot take action.
Yeah.
And that's like the 2 a.m. scenario. And what's really interesting is there's whenever you're worrying, it's because you can't take action. Because if you could take action, it would be very apparent what you needed to do in that moment, and you could just go do it. And so
Right.
there's either some action you need to do and you're avoiding it, which procrastination, we do that too, and we tend to worry, or
Yeah.
we just worry about something that's out of our control
Right.
and it's out of our control. So it's nothing's
It's
changed.
accepting that reality. That's a hard one for a lot of people is
It's
we don't control everything. Okay. You're not going to control what somebody thinks about you or think about what you can't control how somebody responds to something you said. And you said it, you thought you may have said it the best way you could at the time. Okay. Whether it was good or bad, then play that card as it's dealt. But you can't, fret over what coulda, woulda, shoulda. That doesn't do anything but make a mess all over everything. So
fact. That's fact. Well, awesome, Bob. What are the top 1 to 2 skills that you need to develop right now to make some of these dreams and goals come true?
me myself,
You yourself.
okay. Well, obviously, to travel to a foreign country, I've got to get my passport, and I'm working on that. So, yeah, mine expired, but I got to get one for my wife and I, so we get those squared away. And then just, the other thing is speaking to large groups. That's why I have a podcast to show examples of what I do. I have guests on as well as you understand the value of podcasting. It helps to show the value you offer people. So I'm doing that to grow the speaking business, to grow the encouragement and showing people what I can do. Those are the things that I do right now.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
And so the podcast, what is the method of, growing it, getting it to people for you? Because for me, for the longest time, like literally up until like the past couple weeks, I hadn't thought about actually marketing this podcast. I was like, if I create it, they'll come.
Oh,
That was not
yeah.
the truth.
No. Yeah.
So what's that for you?
I stick with a lot of marketing on LinkedIn through different professional groups. That's a very good avenue for me, as well as to get the exposure out. As you bring on guests, you ask them for referrals. That's key. Ask the questions. If you have a question you're not sure about, you can, you want to ask about it. And sometimes that means, hey, do you know people that are looking for a speaker? Do you know people that might be looking for somebody to encourage their group, whether it's students, whether it's college students, whether it's, a corporate audience, civic groups, whatever. Though you can ask those people that. And as you build that clientele and they see more of your work, they start to like it more, and then they'll share it. And, that's how you start to get on things around the world. And, I use different resources out there as well to market the podcast. I do a lot of stuff through Podmatch. And so that's, how we ran into each other, I believe. And,
Yep.
that's, it's a great resource for getting guests, for being on other people's shows, things like that. But, I also market to local TV, radio stations. If something comes up that's a topic that lines up with what I do, I send an email to different news organizations. Are you looking for a guest that might be able to help with this? So that's a way of growing the podcast as well. And I got a number of friends that help me to build and tweak my message as well. So don't be afraid of constructive criticism.
There we go. There we go. I love it. I love how you're attacking it. What are the highest impact daily actions that are really going to tick the needle forward towards your dreams and goals?
Well, that is, I got to go back to the basics, and that's health.
Hmm.
You've got to be here to be able to do the action. And so it's important to take care of your health, physically, mentally, it all combines, no matter what you do. That's a key piece. When see people, see a speaker come into the room, they want to see energy, vibrance. They want to see that he's understanding and engaging, or he or she. Um, be that person. And so in order to do that, you've got to be physically fit. If I had an extra 60 pounds on me and I walked into a room and I didn't have the energy, I said, oh, how you doing? So I don't like eat, or I don't think many people would be encouraged to listen to what I had to say. They'd be looking at their watch, reading the newspaper, looking at emails, whatever. When I come in with some energy and I start out differently and I walk around the room and I, am part of that audience, that's what they see, that's what they like, and that brings you closer to that audience so that they're part of that. So I would say health is a key one for anything we're doing, and making sure we're healthy and staying fit in our mind and our body.
Mm. What's the health plan for you? Do you like to lift? Are you more of a cardio guy? Just diet and walk?
I like to lift. Yeah, I'm usually in the gym a minimum of 3 days a week. I do some cardio because as I've gotten older, I definitely know I need it. I've got some apps on my phone that give me opportunity to do workouts at home, ab workouts, things that don't require a lot of weights because I don't have free weights at home. I've just got a couple dumbbells, things like that, some bands. But those are some key things that help you. You got all kinds of apps out there. Try them. If nothing else, you don't, there's a lot of free ones out there that offer some good things. Try them out, see what they do, see how you feel with it, but stick with it. If it's a 30-day trial thing, do it for 30 days. If it's a 10-day program, do it for 10 days. Don't just, oh, this hurts after 3 days, I'm done. The point is, it's going to take a little bit to change what you're doing. So stick with it. I think that, your self-discipline and perseverance is a good, two good aspects you need for anything you're going to do.
Yeah. Talk to us a bit more about consistency for those out there who are listening. Maybe they're struggling to stay consistent. What are some What are some ways that we can be more consistent in our daily lives?
Whatever you're going to do, whatever, if it's a, no matter what the goal may be or the action may be, put it in a value in your mindset that if you don't do it, you could die. Look at it that way. I mean, that can be kind of over the top for some people. I look at it as that action, that whatever it may be, whether it's working out every morning or whether it's listening to a encouraging motivational podcast, doing that every day, that's important for my growth. My growth is critical for me being here. If I'm not here, who else is going to help encourage the world? I'm sure there's other people out there, but they can't do it like Bob can.
Yeah.
I want to be able to offer what I have, my gift to the world. And in order to do that, I've got to be consistent with my actions to improve myself, improve my message, improve my skill. And that's critical to what I do. And so that makes me, I get up, I have my routine. I'm reading my devotional in the morning. I'm sending out updating some podcast posts that I have that go out on a daily basis. My encouragement engineering podcast, it goes out on a weekly basis. I'm consistent with that. I have my 1 minute motivations that go out every morning at 4:30 in the morning. Those are set up, to go out on a weekly basis. And you got to have that consistency. It's, I get up, I work out, I eat my breakfast, I drink my water, I have plenty of fluids. I have certain things I listen to in the morning that keep me focused on a positive trajectory. Because if you turn on the news and the negativity of all the mess of the world, that can take you on the road you don't want to be on the rest of the day. And it really does affect your mindset and what happens during your day.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it'll be the smallest thing
Yeah.
that'll just send the dominoes falling in the wrong
Yeah.
direction for sure.
It doesn't take a lot to knock over a domino. I mean, you look
Yeah.
at the effects of it,
Yeah. No, I like the mindset, even though it is a bit extreme. I like extreme personally.
Yeah.
Just act like your life is on the line when it
Yeah.
comes to being consistent. Because let's be real, every day you either grew a little bit or you died a little bit. And
Yeah.
if you're not taking those growth steps, a part of your potential did die that day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't want to go to the grave with all that potential next to you,
Exactly.
wear it out. You're when you're done, have it all gone,
Yeah. Ooh, Bob, you about to make me go do something crazy. Awesome. Well, Bob, what character trait do you most need to develop right now to make some of these dreams and goals come true?
That one is, it's funny because I read that like 4 or 5 times. Some of the stuff you sent me, and I was like, man, this one's gonna hurt a little bit. I would say out of that, I would say maybe patience.
Mm,
I want things happening now. As I've gotten older, I've realized you don't get them now. You got to take some time. You got to be patient. That means slowing down. My wife tells me that all the time. You got to slow down. My son would tell me that you got to slow down. And I'm like, but that doesn't let me get things done. I want to get things done. So that's a one for me. That's a kind of a struggle, that back and forth. But I'm learning to manage it. I'm learning to improve that, to have the patience to slow down a bit, explain things slower for some people and thoroughly. And I think that's a skill that's helping me as I get older.
mm. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think Andy Frisella was talking on a podcast with Alex Hormozy, maybe, or it was somebody else. But he was talking about aggressive patience, where it's like you just work your butt off, but you don't expect the outcome to come within a day. Like you don't
Yeah.
expect to work your
Yeah.
butt off for a day and then see the outcome. It's like work your butt off every day for 10 years
Right.
and then see the outcome. That kind of aggressive patience where you're still getting after it, but you're not stressing over the outcome not coming yet.
And that's a good perspective because yeah, so many times we're a microwave society in a crock pot world, and we've got to understand that
That was epic.
you like that, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We go into a drive-through and we don't want to wait 2 extra minutes while they cook some fries. We don't need the fries in the first place, but we don't want to wait because they get to cook them. That's a vicious circle.
Uh-huh.
Also take some time, ask the person how they're doing, say, hey, thank you for being here. They may not even hear that while they're in their drive-through line because everybody's so happy to be there, right?
Yep.
Let them know they're appreciated.
Yep.
And you'd be surprised how that
Just change
changes
their
their
whole
day.
day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's a great way to do it.
No, that's it really is crazy how sometimes people just need like one kind word.
Yeah.
Just one
Yeah.
kind word, it'll yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So patience. Patience is the
Yeah.
key to create. Well, cool. If there were one or two people you could meet right now, this could be a specific person or a type of person, and they'd really help you take that next step towards your dreams and goals. Who would they be, and how would they help you?
Well, let's go back all the way. I'd say Jesus. If
There
you're
we
gonna
go.
get the answer from the source, go to the source, right?
Uh, yeah.
And he, guess what? He gave us a book, an instruction book, and we can read that all the time. And it gives you the good and the bad, and it lets you know a direction and a positive and a negative. But think about having a conversation with Jesus. Wow.
Mm,
Imagine that, just the feeling of that, the emotion of it, the freeing spiritness that you could have just in that conversation. It would be amazing. You
yeah.
know, I've read some books of people that I've had near death experiences and whatnot, and just that explanation of feeling of joy and freedom that they experience is just something that's so amazing. It's
Mm,
really, really something. And I even saw it when my father passed away because he used to always have, see this crease right here? Well,
yeah.
he would have that all the time from doing this type of thing and worrying about stuff that he didn't need to worry about.
Uh-huh.
When he passed away, that disappeared.
Yeah.
It literally went off his forehead because he didn't have that anymore. It's something we create in our limited view of the world, and there's a greater source that says you don't need to worry about this stuff that you think is important. So, you know,
The fact. Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. Jesus
Thanks.
Christ. There we
Yeah.
go. And how would he help you? Would he help you develop patience?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's yes. Think about the patience he had with what he went through, and
Oh,
he knew it was happening, you
uh-huh.
know?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
it's crazy because he knew what was gonna go down.
Yeah.
Like from the day he was born, he knew what was gonna go down.
Yeah.
I would have spent the whole 33 years just stressed,
Right.
just
You would look
miserable.
like you were 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
out here just loving people
Yeah.
unconditionally while he's about to go die at 33 and knows it all along, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy. And just to have that peace and sense of security, it'd just be amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, now we're gonna jump into our thriving three. And the first question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one of those.
Just one.
You could do all three.
Well, I can't really say a movie. I'm not that big of a movie watcher myself, but
Uh-huh.
a podcast or a book. I mean, like I mentioned, the Bible is a very good one. Another one is a Think and Grow Rich because it's the first, if you will, personal growth type book from some
Yeah.
people that had achieved great things, and Napoleon Hill documented. As far as a podcast, if you've ever listened to Mike Rose, The Way I Heard It, very interesting podcast. Mike Rowe, if you know him from Dirty Jobs, great guy, down to earth, salt of the earth type guy. It gives it as it is, and that's what I appreciate. Is he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He may not like it on some of those jobs, but it's he explains it well, and he has some great guests on there that give a different perspective that maybe you didn't think about some of these issues that are going on in our world. And just it's a very good podcast. The topics change all the time, so it's always changing. But the way he is too, he's an interesting background. He was a baritone opera singer.
There we go. So
So
why is it called The Way I Heard It?
because it's based off of the way he heard a topic. So the way he heard it and then he talks about a certain topic on that episode
Oh,
and
I
his interpretation about it, and then he has a guest on and they talk about it. So it's really an interesting concept and how they go about the conversations they have.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
So, does he do a different topic every show, or will he come back to some topics with some guests?
He pretty much does a different topic on every show. It's the episodes are usually about an hour. The only one he's done, if you will, coming back to was his mother's an author, and so he's had her on a few times talking about her book, and so he would go through certain chapters, and then the next session he would talk about a few more chapters in the book and so forth. But I think that's the only one he's had repetitively. Of course, you want to have your mom on. That's a good guest to have on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know. So
Nice. Well, what is one way you like to take care of yourself?
working out is a big one. That's always a big one for me. The other thing is taking time in the morning to be, or in the evening to just be outside and enjoy the outside. I have the pleasure of living in Florida, so I have palm trees all over. I grow palm trees. I love the greenery. I'd love to be outside and enjoy that, whether it's warm, cold. It doesn't make too much of a difference to me. I mean, I say cold, it gets to 50 degrees sometimes in
Is
the
that
winter, but
actually the coldest Florida gets?
oh, we've gotten down into the 30s,
Okay, I got you.
but yeah, it warms up. So I'm originally from Michigan. So I mean, I knew some cold, man, and
Uh-huh.
I got tired of it. So
Yeah,
that's why
yeah,
I headed south.
yeah. I'm in Texas,
Okay.
so
All right. Yeah.
I love the warm, but people will say like Florida and California has better weather, and I want to go see it. I've never seen it for myself, but I'm like,
Oh,
we
okay.
we never really get below 30. Like if it's
Yeah.
25 here, it's like the
Yeah.
world is on like
Yeah.
pause basically.
Yeah. Last winter, you guys got nailed. So you got
We
to
got
experience some
wrecked.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had another one actually that was like we lost electricity because it was 30 and
Yeah.
it wasn't like super cold or anything, but it was still 30 degrees and our electricity went out for like 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
Texas, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we always unfortunately those hurricanes come through by us, and we'll get knocks it out when it's 80 to 90 degrees outside, and you're hoping it's not that hot because if the air's got to be off for a few days because of power, you want you don't want to have that. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Is it scary when the hurricanes hit?
you pray a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in the Tampa side, so we've been quite fortunate. But you prepare as best you can, and if you got to evacuate, you do what you got to do, and it is what it is. It's a house.
Mm,
So my
yeah.
family comes first, and I'm not too worried about the building. It's if it's there, great. If it's not, okay, we'll fix it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh,
I gotcha. Well, awesome. What is one action step? Oh, this is gonna be interesting. You can take right now or continue to take if you're already doing it to get more and more personal with Jesus Christ to where you're actually like just talking to him in your prayer life.
yeah. That I mean, that's the ultimate goal, if you will.
Yep.
It's we it's always interesting because that's a piece that, yeah, if you want to get that close and get that educated and learned, you've definitely got to have that relationship. And it was interesting. A pastor recently reminded me of it when he was talking that we try to put God in a box, and when we do that, we limit what He can do in our lives.
Mhm.
But that's our mind, is we limit what we believe we can do.
Yeah.
God, He's infinite. And
Yep.
so that's what we need to see, is we need to see that infinite ability, infinite opportunities we have all around us. They're not always going to be easy. We're not always going to like them, but he's setting you up for greatness, and that's an opportunity. It could be talking to somebody you may not want to talk to, or inviting somebody to something you didn't know was around, and you learned a great ability about them and things. So, look at the opportunities. Everything's an opportunity in our life.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Mm.
I um I like that idea that you just called out of the fact that we limit ourselves, and I like bringing awareness to it because it means you can call yourself out on where you're limiting yourself and maybe
Yeah.
step into a bit more abundance and where you're limiting God, really.
Yeah.
And a specific example of this, there's that scripture where it's like men ought to always pray. And for the longest time, I had one notion of prayer, like bow your head,
Yeah.
close your eyes,
Yeah.
hold hands with the congregation or whatever, and
Right.
pray. And I was like, if men ought always pray, how am I supposed to always be praying and then also live my life, right? And it's
Right.
like, somebody talked to me about how prayer is like just communication with God or communicating with God. And then you see like faith without works is dead. And so
Right.
clearly our displays of faith, our works rooted in faith can communicate something to God. Or like 90% of human communication is with our body language. And so
Right.
are we walking around with body language that is displaying the fruit of the spirit? Or are we walking around with body language that is displaying fear? Like I started thinking of all these ways where we could be communicating with God. And I was like, well, always praying is more like just realizing that he's always there with you and you're always representing him, you know?
Yeah.
And
And
then
that's a big one. I mean, you think about that is anything, and that's where we've got to get out of our own way.
mhm.
Is that ability? We have the ability, like you said, okay, always be praying. I mean, I could be out in the yard shoveling something or fixing something, and I'm praying because God give me the patience. The screw's not coming out right.
Uh-huh.
Help me understand how to put this back together, or how far do I have to do this? As well as your acts of kindness, your acts of or gestures towards other people. You bring up that great point because it's so important. We have so many avenues around us to grow, to be encouraged, to be that example that Jesus set for us. Like you said, he knew what was happening from the day he was born, and yet
Uh-huh.
he was out here enjoying everything. And
Uh-huh.
that's where we need to be. We need to get out of our own way, enjoy everything. The reality is we're all going to die. Take it or
Yep.
leave it. It is going to happen someday. What, when, and where we don't know. Okay, you prepare the best you can and enjoy the rest. You know,
Yeah.
you know, make up a will doesn't mean you're going to die. Just have the paperwork prepared. Have life insurance doesn't mean you're going to use it. Just have it in case. You know, set those things up and set them and don't think about it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, awesome. We're going to jump to our final section of the podcast now. And these can get a bit personal. So if you don't want to answer them, just be like, I'll pass. And I'll be like, okay, pass.
All right.
So, what is one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any? And for this specifically, I'm going to change the question a little bit because of the conversation we just had. What
Yeah.
is one way you think you are limiting God in your life?
Ouch. um I'm gonna, I am what I am, just like every other human. I try to do it myself,
hmm
but let God steer the bike. And it's interesting. A friend of mine, Tim Whipple, who he built Bridgepoint Church down here in Florida. He wrote a book and talked about that. Let God do the steering.
Yeah.
Let Him steer the bike. And that's what we got to do is just let Him control. Things are going to happen. Let Him be in control of it.
Mm.
It doesn't, you don't have to worry. You don't have to try to control it. And that's a big one, I think, for a lot of people is we don't control anything really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. So, what specific actions kind of reinforce this limiting belief? You trying to do it yourself? Are there any examples you can think of, or is it just kind of a
Yeah.
general?
No, I mean, yeah, I could be here for a long time now. Trying to again, it goes back to patient. Well, I want it now, so I'll act and maybe thinking I'm doing something right and hurrying along and trying to get something, driving through traffic quickly, et cetera, like that. One, it could hurt me because I could get in an accident. It could hurt somebody else because I get in an accident. It could hurt my family because of the results of because of my lack of patience. God's telling you, slow down. It's okay. Love your neighbor. Everybody is you know, a child of God, and we have to remember that. And sometimes we try to move so fast, we forget that concept. It's to me, it's relieving to remind myself of that and understand that. It's like it helps me to slow down.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I definitely, like any other person, mortal person that will, does things that definitely goes against some of the ideas. We were given 10 commandments, not suggestions.
Yeah.
And so many times, we try to control that. Even who was it? Was the Israelites when Moses came down from the mountain? You know,
Uh-huh.
the, and they were building false idols and things like that because they didn't have the patience. You
Yep.
know, so it's happened for a long time, and we need to remind ourselves of that.
For sure. For sure. Well, awesome. If you were to change that kind of belief into an abundant phrase that would really speak to your heart in the way that you need to hear it, what would that phrase be?
Breathe. I just did it. Did you
There we
hear
go.
that?
I did.
Breathe. Because it lets you reset. It lets you stop for a second. It lets you think. We need to do more of that. We need to slow down and think. And it can be hard, but I would say breathe would be the big one for a lot of people. Um, we got to remember to do it sometimes. It's just that scenario of stopping for a few and just enjoying a moment. And if you have a quiet time in the morning, enjoy that cup of coffee, enjoy the quiet. Don't turn on the TV, enjoy the quiet. When the dog comes up to you in the morning, say, hey, he's getting anxious to let you out. Okay, enjoy the tail wagging of the dog, the excitement that they love you unconditionally.
Mhm.
So
I love it. Breathing.
yeah.
A lot of people were talking about, they come on the show, they'll talk about meditating, they'll talk
Yeah.
about just sitting, they'll talk about just being present. And I feel like the translation for meditation in Christian life is really prayer, like just
Yeah.
sitting with God and like dwelling on scripture. And it kind of, somebody said something on my show. I can't remember which episode it was, but it brought a completely new light to the scripture, be still and know that I am God. And it's like
Hmm.
that point about breathing, that point about just being still, that point about just like getting present, maybe feeling the Holy Spirit in you. It's like, be still and know that he's
Yeah.
God. Like that brings the patience, that brings the like confidence in his word and his promises, and just hit me different that episode.
But think about what you just said too. Be still and know that I am God. Okay. God created everything. God is all. Doesn't that make you feel like, wow,
Yeah.
like you're in the presence of something awesome? And
Hmm.
that's the best part about it is you get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Think about that with your prayer. You get to be part of that scenario. You get to be part of that feeling, part of that invigoration. That's cool.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
epic.
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, when the limiting beliefs start to take over, you notice you're trying to do it yourself. What thoughts or actions do you resort to in order to redirect?
um, Knowing that I'm not in control. Two, that you know I'm doing this to myself, so stop it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta, hey, stop.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, those are. It's that reminder to yourself. I think of putting yourself in the proper frame of mind, proper situation, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, with our society going so fast all the time, we've got to take the time. And I try to do this, yeah, often as well. I don't have much luck at it sometimes, but that idea of slow down, just slow down. My dad would tell me that too. My wife's told me that. My kids have told me that.
Yeah.
Hearing it is a good reminder, but sometimes you just got to take that time to do it.
There we go. All right. One last question for you. Ready?
Yep.
What is your favorite belief about yourself?
My favorite belief about myself, my positive energy.
Mm,
Yeah. Again, it's that idea that I get to share that with people. It helps people to see opportunity, helps them to see what they can do, helps them to see the options they may have. And I think that's critical. It's not just about me, it's about giving it away. I think that's critical, is giving away that positive feelings you have helps people feel better. I mean, it's just the idea of, following up with somebody when, maybe they had a death in the family or something like that. It means a lot to people just that you're thinking about them, those little actions are positive actions you can take to help other people. It doesn't necessarily help you. And maybe it does because you know you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
So that's, some of the things I look at is that positive belief that I believe I have in the positive energy that's meant to be shared with others.
Yeah. I love it. Well, awesome,
Thanks.
Bob. That's all we got for you, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks you, Tim. I appreciate, the time today and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
I just, like I said, I want to say thank you. I want to offer people if they need a speaker, an encouragement engineer for their group, their, you know, eh, organization. I'd love to help. They can contact me. Look me up at bobbrummspeaks.com. The Encouragement Engineering Podcast. That's my podcast that I have guests on. I have 1 minute motivations that are out on social media as well. So I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can look me up on there. I'd love to connect and help people out.
There we go. Well, you guys heard him. If you loved his energy, you loved his vibe, make sure to check him out on social media. Go to his website, refer him if you know anybody who needs a speaker. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.